Hey, Biff, how many soccer players does it take to change a light bulb?
How many soccer players does it take to change a light bulb, Jacques?
I don't know, but it'd go a lot quicker if they use their hands. All right. All right. You'll get this one.
There's
hey,
more? Biff, oh, wow. I can't wait.
Biff, what has two legs and bleeds?
Oh, Jesus.
Half a dog. Half a dog. With that, I welcome you all to Carnival Personnel. I'm Jacques.
This is Biff.
Biff, how are you?
I am my allergy is absolutely killing me, which I probably shouldn't whine about to people in your area because it just means that it's warm as hell and everything is blooming and all that pollen is just getting into my nose.
It's cold as hell right now, which I don't really understand how that expression came to be. It seems contradictory, but I will say we had 2 spring-like days, which means the stink bugs that inhabit my son's room, we can't figure out where they come from, but in the 2
Are you sure there's stink bugs?
We're 100% sure. Yeah.
Are you sure there's stink bugs? I'm just saying.
but don't worry, it's back to being cold. I'm gonna start the podcast
right off. Like a 2-year-old egg in there, like in the summer.
Right. Yeah, it could be. So I'm gonna start the podcast right off by wishing the city of Glendale, Arizona, the best of luck come their next Super Bowl. And I wish the best of luck to all associated and next year's Super Bowl halftime show and all Super Bowl halftime shows going forward, because the bar has been so raised by this last Super Bowl halftime
it's
show.
Going to be the Red Solo Cup guy, right? Whatever that guy's name is. Dude, it's going to be that Red Solo Cup guy. I can feel it.
Did not watch the Super Bowl, but the wife and I did tune in for the halftime show, and I gotta say, just head spinning, mind blowing, amazing.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, this is not in my musical wheelhouse, but I completely get it, right? So, and in terms of what they did, I mean, that was definitely totally impressive. But yeah,
and because of the sheer cost of traveling each of those people and their respective entourages, it'd be hard for another city.
Doesn't Dr. Dre live in LA?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Most of them live in LA.
Yeah. Eminem, I don't know. Is he back in Michigan? I don't know where he lives. So,
but all those people, most of them live in LA. So traveling was, but that show, dude, was, it's not my prime. I mean, I love all that, most of that music I love. I'm not a huge 50 Cent guy, but it's funny. I worked on a couple DVDs.
From a musical standpoint, I can't say that was better than Prince because it's Prince, but
I still think
right. So
I still think Prince is the greatest halftime show of all time.
I think that's the gold standard, at least for me. So
but what they pulled off was just so absolutely amazing and incredible, and honestly, it's going to be hard to match, and it will be nearly impossible.
And NFL, welcome to 1995, right? I mean, whatever, So
it was great. It was one of those things I saw, much like when I realized, where I saw a clip and found out that Karen Carpenter is an amazing drummer. People just being, I'm more surprised that people were surprised that Dr. Dre can play the piano.
Right.
Everyone's like, what? And then, I love that. I guess Eminem was told not, I don't know if he did it rehearsal.
Allegedly, right? Allegedly.
To not
NFL refutes that, but okay.
But good on him for doing it, period.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything about that show was fantastic.
I mean, let's face it. We pretty much know that none of them are going to ever be invited back. Well, maybe Snoop will be invited back. But aside from Snoop, I don't know if anybody's going to be ever invited back to do a halftime show ever again anyway. So it's why did they do that, I think.
So I'm gonna be really personal for a minute and break down how lucky I am to have so many great friends. But I'm gonna break down why All-Star Tommy is a very good person, and why our friend, maybe even former friend Joe is a bad person. So very recently, All Star recommends the early 2000 British sitcom, The IT Crowd.
Right.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Loved it. Binge watched the whole thing in the matter of like 2 days while on quarantine when I had COVID with the little guy a few weeks, actually many weeks ago. Then All-Star Tommy finds an old VHS tape of him playing in the 1981 Minnesota high school, and he posted on YouTube, and I'm telling you, it's fantastic. We've heard from All-Star for 20 years now the story about him playing against Phil Housley, and I used to love, like, ESPN in its infancy used to show that tournament and just the clear boards,
right,
just stand out, and absolutely seeing the Opie Cunningham, not old enough to shave All-Star.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, between recommending the IT Crowd, between posting that is great. Just the best. He's the best person, best recommendation. Joe, on the other hand, last week insists that I watch I think it was like 2012, 2014, maybe 2014, 2016. Ricky Gervais show Derek. And
okay.
I think Joe recommended me watching that because he knows I like Ricky Gervais.
Yep.
He knows it's very funny.
Yep.
But he knows I'm going to cry like a baby each and every episode. And I don't mean a tear streaming down the face, as Joe said when I called him out on it. Quoting, from Scrooged, Niagara Falls Frankie, when Buster Poindexter was pointing out like Attila the Hun when he saw his mother. Niagara Falls. Dude, literally, Joe knew how sensitive I am. He knew that Ricky Gervais found the exact cadence and tone. Isn't going to make me sad, but absolutely sobbing, full body shaking, unabashful crying. It's my sister, who's also a horrible person, within a 24-hour period recommended the show as well. So I'm like, okay, she recommends it, Joe recommends it. Management just had a crazy work week with the schedule, just worked a lot. So I'm like, I'll check out a few episodes, and each and every episode I laughed, and not every episode, but let's say there was only like 14 episodes total, or 15. It's like one season at 7, one season at 6, and then season 3 was just one episode. But I'm saying out of the 14 episodes, whatever it is, at least 13 really good cries. I mean, had to drink a whole extra, 5 or 6 glasses of water to replenish what I had lost, which makes him such a horrible person for recommending a show that he knew was going to strike me in such a way. But it's like, and now, and when I was telling management that, there was one episode that I'm like, okay, you have to watch this. And she's so glad I made her watch it.
Okay.
Ricky Gervais, they don't say specifically, what it is, but he's a special needs, a 50-year-old special needs guy who works in an assisted living facility.
Okay.
And his takes on life and some of the things are just, brutally awesome. And the wife's like, oh, I've heard his show Afterlife is great. I'm like, yeah, Joe said I have to watch that. So we're watching that, and that's really good. And same thing, I mean, it's funny, and it's also, pulls at the heartstrings, but Derek is just each and every episode. And with that said, I can't recommend it more. I just can't recommend it more. It really was great. But be forewarned, like, it definitely, if you have an ounce of empathy or like humanity in your body, there's many times. And when I called my sister out on it, she's like, yeah, I've rewatched it like 3 times the entire series, but there's 2 episodes she won't watch just because she knows
too brutal. Yeah.
It's just too brutal.
Yeah.
Some once it will stick with you forever. So that's why.
So what is that? Where's Derek on? What service is that on?
That's on Netflix.
Not Netflix. Okay, so I could play that one.
And I think there's, speaking of Netflix, I've been rewatching this week the Daredevil series, because I don't know if they're going to HBO Max, but
Okay.
there's a lot of stuff coming off of Netflix, and it's all the Marvel TV stuff is coming off this week.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like, so as you scroll by, it says, and the description, in big bold letters, it's like, this goes away February 28th. So,
Right. Okay.
so if you get up February 29th, you're a year ahead of us because
Sure. Well, 2 years. Yeah.
2 years.
2024 is the next time we have a leap year, but yeah.
But then we get and speaking of, friends, it was a really, really great, surprise today because Guitar Center Scotty, he's in that cult of sports parents.
Yeah.
Decide it's
travel hockey parents. Yeah.
But all sports. I mean, like, Mr. Taylor spent, I mean, there was a 4-5 year window where his daughter did competitive Irish step dancing.
Right.
And I'm going to say in a 52-week schedule, there was 20 weekends where they were crisscrossing the country, but hockey just seems to be the worst of the worst when it comes to
well, it's expensive, and because there's only so many places would host it, right? I mean, so there's that certain level of limitation also.
And it's like, and they face the hard decisions that lots of parents face because son A had a tournament here this weekend. Son B's team is in Dallas, but they decided they were gonna, as a family, all come here versus mom get on one plane and go there, because that's what my brother does with his 3 kids. Like they're always, and the parents have to make the tough decision. They really want to do this, or we pay for college in a few years.
well, I mean, to some, the theory is that they're paying for college now because they're going to get a scholarship, right? So that's also part of the, planning for some of them. But sure, which is why we get that bad behavior, right?
But it's one of those things where, I mean, if a kid loves it this much, and it's
absolutely,
and Guitar Center Scotty was saying, it's like, his deal with his kids the first time, because it's a lot of money. It's also such a huge time commitment. He's like, the first time I have to tell you, we got to get ready for practice, or the first time there's pushback, it's like, we're not doing this, and unfortunately there's no sign of any of that happening. So they're in for the long haul. But he texted me.
I hate to tell you this, but that's that other blood that's in their body. They're kind of built that way. And they're like, yeah.
So so it was nice. I had to, screw around with Biff's schedule because I might have had concert tickets. Then I did, and then we went, but then we kind of didn't go. And then, we get home last night, and I get a text from, Guitar Center Scotty saying, "Hey, I don't know if this place is close to you. It's like 40 minutes away, and it's all high."
There you go. There you go.
So, management and my 2 boys who went grudgingly, like kicking and screaming, it's not their thing, but then they're close in the same age, they're in the same grades as guitar kids. So we all went to a restaurant. They sat at one table so we could have a conversation about them at the other table.
Of course. Yeah.
And I tell you, it's just like when you've been able to come to town, it was just, and he's like, "Oh, I wasn't sure how close, you guys, thank you for coming." I'm like, dude, you fly 3,000 miles. I can't drive, 50 minutes. And I found out that in October, they were just in Hartford.
But I'll tell you one thing, that Scotty's been living in the US too long, because each of those sentences should have ended with the word sorry, but it doesn't anymore.
But it was absolutely fantastic seeing, there's just that group that is so special, with you, with, John, with All-Star and stuff like that. You throw in, Al, throw in both Al's, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Ruger and stuff, that it's like, that's my family. And it's like, and I was bummed because he's like, "Oh yeah, we were in Hartford in October." I'm like, dude, we on a whim will drive to New York City for the day. You know what I mean? It's like, or we'll go overnight. Hartford is like just 2 hours away. Now I hate, like, we've run out of the seltzer that I drink, and I'm really torn that after we're done recording, will I drive through 1.1 mile to the supermarket? Now that shit I hate, but a friend's in town, it's 2 hours each way. let's get going. So
There
it
you
was,
go.
it was just absolutely the best to see him. And
Well, yeah, that is cool though.
and I don't feel bad taking away the boys' precious, weekend of game playing, because that's when the only time they can play, because they have February vacation now. So, so they'll make up for the loss, like
No,
4 hours,
of course.
with a vengeance. And no, so that's it. The other big news in my world is next week, hopefully we're doing a sideshow the next few days with the owners of Boom Boom Games, who are sponsoring the next Joe's Basement retro video game event. I'm hosting at Mill Number 5 on March 3rd. But on March 4th, I already have my tickets to Batman. Opening weekend.
That's the Pattinson one, right?
No,
right.
Yep. The guy, the worst vampire ever, because it took him 22 years to turn into a bat. From what was that series he was in?
The Twilight, right?
Twilight. Yep.
Twilight.
Not Twilight Sparkles, just to be clear. From
No, I actually I think it's gonna be good. It's a little bit of a different kind of person in appearance, but I actually think it's going to be I think that's a good let's just say it's better than Batfleck.
No, I love Ben Affleck. Here's my one hope for the movie, that we don't have to see the Wayne family death scene. It's like, one of the things I loved about like the Tom Holland Spider-Man is they didn't have to do his backstory. He just lives with his aunt. There's no Uncle Ben in the picture. How his parents died was never really talked about, but we all know that his parents died somehow, and he lives with his aunt somehow, and that's it. And if you don't know that, well, catch up. But I mean, that's one of the things I loved.
I don't know that it's that important anyway, right? Bottom line, right? I mean, at that stage, that stage of the story, it's just
And so this was we don't have to see that. Just pick up the story. Either he's been doing it for a couple of years, and this is what however you do it. I don't need to see the 91th version in the last 5 years of how the Waynes were shot in Crime Alley. First of all, why the fuck are you walking down an alley called Crime Alley anyways, you dumbasses? But what was fun is I knew the tickets went on sale the day they went on sale, and I didn't want to, fight with it on the phone. So I dropped the boys off at school and just drove over to the theater. And I went to the gym, and then I drove over because it opens at 10 a.m. 9:50. I'm double parked right in front. Guy comes out and he's swapping out posters. And I'm like, hey, are you throwing out that poster? He goes, yeah. It's like, oh, can I have it? He goes, dude, I got a new one in the office for the movie Uncharted, which is also, because that was my oldest son's game for like 2 years, 3 years, or 4 of them.
Okay.
Nathan Drake is the lead character, which, funny enough, is played now by Tom Holland. And he went out as like in 2 Halloweens, and he's gone to a couple Comic-Cons dressed as Nathan Drake. So I was really psyched because I brought home, and we're going to have it framed for him. But I walked in and got the tickets, was able to pick the seats. And it's like, so I have that's
like the time I asked the guy at our local video store for the Rumble in the Bronx cutout stand. So I had this huge Jackie Chan thing in my tiny apartment for a little while, which was stupid, but I still liked it.
No, dude, those things are awesome. I had a couple.
Still bad there was no eBay back then, because I eventually had to throw it away.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I remember when they had the Gretzky cutouts. I think it was at 7-Eleven or something like that. Forget why there was a Gretzky. All I know is at one point in the late 90s, early 2000s, there was this lawyer in LA, very well respected, who had a gorgeous corner office overlooking like Westwood and Wilshire, like prime real estate, right by gorgeous. But if you went in his office, you would see a weathered cutout Gretzky that I just showed up one day and set up in his office. And I also got a Day County voting machine off of eBay, from the 2000 elections. Like when they decommissioned them, they're like, right. What are we going to do with them? Well, let's sell them. And I bought it on eBay for him.
Some schmuck will buy it. And of course,
Yep.
They did.
Like, and then like the free bobbleheads from I mean, you walked into this guy's office and you're like, okay, this is the world's leading lawyer when it comes to wrongful death cases. And I think at one point when they redid The Office, he sadly got dragged into the adult world or the grown-up world, not the adult world. He's not a porn site now, but yeah, so he had those kind of things. But it was great. I mean, what are they going to do with it? But the guy was super nice. He's like, yeah, we always have extras of these. Let me run to my office and get you another one. So I got my Batman tickets, and that it was a good day for the Jacques.
Yeah, I need to get to the theaters. I really do.
It will be the second time we're going to a theater, and the first time, like,
now's the time. Come on, now's the time for you to do it. You got your COVID, you got your,
right.
your maximum. You got the booster plus the actual virus antibodies. You and I. This is the time for us to party.
So it really is. And so we're but I'm still one of those assholes who walks around in a mask because it's like, yeah, you can get it twice, but C, I rather lead by example and still have it on, but the rare time that I go out, I don't feel, but I guess California's done with masks.
I think that's a state guidance. I think Los Angeles is still keeping the indoor ones for a little while, but the outdoor ones are done. So that means like the Stagecoach and Coachella are already announced that they'll be maskless at this point. So there you go.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that it's like I don't know if we're going to talk about Coachella, like the drama, but the idiot at the top of the drama with Coachella. It's like, nah, we don't have to talk. But yeah, same thing here. So after Thanksgiving, our kids' school and our town was overwhelmed with COVID. After Christmas, it was epidemic. Like, my son, religious about wearing his mask, fully vaccinated. He got it, which meant I got it. 20% of the school got it within like 2 weeks after Christmas.
Wow.
Well, now we're on February vacation. And at the end of February vacation is when masks will be optional.
Yeah.
And here's the other, and also no testing. Like they're going to send home a test a week. And if you want to test, you test. If you test positive, let us know and stay home. But otherwise, we're done testing in the schools.
Well,
so
I got my free test from the USPS. Did you order yours or did you?
Yep, we got ours.
Okay. Yeah.
We got ours. And also, a couple of weeks ago, the school had it was on a Saturday. It's like, here's 6 different schools doing, just drive by and show your ID and pick up some. But the schools are now not doing the pool testing, which is how we found out my son had it in the first place.
Right.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, we're according to, not just the wing nuts, but a lot of people that it's like, yeah, we're in a good place to get rid of all the rules that helped us get to a good place. So
it's one of that's an approach. That's a direction you can take. So
let's
see what happens.
What I don't think was a huge super spreader event was the LA Rams victory parade.
This is true. Yeah, with the I mean, how many people really pay attention to football anyway, right? So just given that, they kind of explain. It is really sad that it looked to be more sparsely attended than the Kings, Stanley Cup parade. It's like,
okay, rank them from least attended, like most who gives a shit, to like the most legit. LA Rams Super Bowl, the Anaheim Ducks Super Bowl party.
Or the Kings. Yeah. Well, I you know what? I didn't pay attention to the Anaheim parade, but the 2012 parade was a pretty. I mean, that was like, I think they said like 1 million people, which kind of shocked me. So
that's what. Yeah, I remember. Sean Thornton, Scott Thornton, Sean Thornton played for
the one that played for the Bruins.
For the Bruins and won the cup.
Sean Thornton. Yeah.
Yeah, who also won a cup with the Ducks.
Right.
And the Ducks didn't have a parade; they had a parking lot celebration.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay, that's what it was. Okay,
like about 2,000 people showed up, and so when the Bruins won the cup in 2011, and he was great, but he was
Yeah.
like, it was kind of a got you question. But when the local TV sports guys like, so can you compare this to the Ducks victory celebration? Because it was like 4 million people out for
Right,
the,
right, yeah.
and it was mid-June. It was on a Saturday, and it was just gorgeous. It was like an 80
Well,
degree
I mean, and
day.
listen, Boston's a hockey town,
Right.
and they love that team, and it's their first Stanley Cup in what is it, 40 years? What at
Yeah,
that, no, 50,
72.
what is it? Oh, 72 was the last one. Yeah.
Yeah, 70,
So
72. So, but yeah, it was but congratulations to the Ram. But like you said, everybody said it. If this was USC or UCLA winning a national title,
yeah.
that'd be a legit, that would rival a Laker victory. But anything,
Yeah. Well, the Lakers and the Dodgers clearly,
right.
A next level above all the other sports franchises locally. But I mean, come on, this is a team that left the city once. So what can I say?
So Queen, just before we jumped on, I saw that Queen Elizabeth has gotten COVID now, and that's kind of scary. Her son's had it twice, and Justin Bieber started his world tour, and the next day pops for COVID. So that's kind of hysterical. But Biff, break down the fun that's going on at the Canadian US border crossings with
God. Well, I don't have the complete stories, but I guess I think it started off with the mandates that the Canadian government, I think, placed on these truck drivers to be vaccinated, and and then that led to essentially that really, I think it's the infusion of the anti-vax bots really kind of fueling the anger that probably used to be somewhat small, but kind of blew up a little bit, I think. So it is kind of a weird thing in that from our side, it looks like there's this huge vaccination controversy, but I think the Canadian vaccination rate is somewhere close to like 90%. It's like 89%,
yeah.
88%. And so, much of Canada is like,
but how many did that? And that's the thing. It's the loud minority of people who, how many 18-wheel rigs does it take to clog up a bridge, really? Honestly, you only need a handful.
Right.
To pull this
and so
off.
there's the border ones, and they've been pretty good about clearing those. I mean, they've had interruptions, but they've been pretty good about clearing up a lot of them. And then I think they're finally getting a handle on the Ottawa one, where there's essentially they're occupying neighborhoods in Ottawa, and apparently there's been some just incessant honking and just people being jerks to like just innocent residents of that area, right? So
very un-Canadian like of thing.
Yeah. So but I guess the funny thing is that Trudeau pulled some kind of an emergency. There's some
obscure, right?
Well, not obscure, but something that got put in, a few years back, where it gives him a certain amount of powers to do things like for, legit threats. He can do things like freeze bank accounts and stuff like that. And so, and I think there's another issue where a lot of the insurance companies are not honoring any damages or that occurs to these people's trucks or properties or something like that. So there's an insurance angle, and then there is also this freezing of the bank angle, which also froze these GoFundMes that have been funded to help these truckers. So these people aren't getting any money, and they may not have insurance. And then to top everything off, and I don't know if you saw this, but apparently they're using these Twitter groups to do all the communications, which apparently have been invaded by some LGBTQ hacks. And there's a song called I want to say Toy Ranch. Apparently there's this kind of a gay pickup song or something like that called Toy Ranch. And apparently this just keeps interrupting their their conversations, their discussions in there. And not only that, people will start talking about like actual serious to them issues, and then they would cut in to like somebody would just cut in this little random gay reference things, and then the conversation just goes haywire, and the people get very angry because these guys are being trolled by a bunch of people in the gay community. and this is our lives we're dealing with, and then the guys are like, yeah, whatever, right? So
That's
they
great.
think about what are we gonna do? What if it breaks down, and then they talk about like basically thinly veiled jokes about stick shifts and stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff that's going on. So
and the people cheering it on our side, the Fox News assholes who are
Sure.
also at the same time like going after Biden for supply chain issues at the same time, like encouraging this. So it's just, again,
I saw somebody saying that like essentially if Biden should be invading Canada to essentially address Canadians' fascists, whatever Trudeau's fascist move to essentially kill the freedom of speech there. It's like, wow.
Yeah, no, it is. But speaking of invading, dude, isn't invading other countries so like mid last century? And as we record, and it's I like to say it's just a shell game, and we're not going to get deep into it, but it's like, is this really just Putin testing like everybody else in the world, or is it his last kind of, he's in his 70s now, and is he just trying to return to the old like KGB glory days?
Well,
is it really going to be an invasion? An invasion?
I think that there is. I do think that there is a legitimate desire to return the country to the old Soviet glory. I think that part of it is, I don't, for lack of a better term, sincere, I guess. So I think there is a certain level of trueness to it. But yeah, I don't know the ultimate end game, I guess. I'm not savvy enough to really, I've read on it, but I don't know if any of them, I don't know which one is the more credible one compared to the others, right? So
is your gut telling you that by the time we record our next podcast, there's going to be some kind of ground invasion over there?
Oh yeah, I 100% do think that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the war part is for reals. Yeah.
Well, it's beyond awful. And I'm telling you right now, I barely watch the news. I scroll past most drama on Twitter and just focus on what's important, the comic book movies and TV shows, because it's really a golden age for somebody like me. The amount of Marvel content, the amount of DC content. Sure. Every time I turn around, I watched another animated, two new animated DC movies, one based on the game Injustice, which is great. It's okay. It was a video game that was big, like 2014. They did a couple, 2014, 15, 16. It was like one of the biggest games, Injustice. And I won't get in, to the whole thing, but it was one of those Superman turns bad type thing, and all superheroes had to choose a side. And well, did he turn bad, or did he just finally say enough is enough? And it's like, yeah, I'm going to put an end. And then there was another reimagined the Flash accidentally goes back and winds up in World War II type thing, which I think that's DC's go-to trope, is somehow, going back to their, but then you turn around and, the Book of Boba Fett's out. And just as that wraps up, guess what? The Obi-Wan Kenobi series is about to start. And here's the new Batman movie. And then so I have more things to think about, but every time I turn on the news, you hear this, it's a really bad week for the last guy. And, the judge just said he can be, here's my thing. And I've been saying it for a while. This is all we're going to talk about for just a second. It's like, I'm not taking the bait. When he's actually in a jumpsuit that matches his skin tone, I'll turn on the news and watch it a little bit. Yeah. But until there's a perp walk, until somebody like you texts me and says, "Dude, quick, turn on the TV now," or Joe calls and says, "It's actually happening," then I'll turn on the TV. But every day since late 2015, when it's like, he's indicted for this, they're investigating that, he's impeached twice, they're, all of this stuff. Whether they actually get to do a perp walk before he does the dirt nap, because he's not in the best health in his late 70s. It's like we'll see. But it's like every time, the rare time I see the news, there's always some story. This is it. It's going to be a bad week for him. It's like, yeah, you know what? I'm not.
Part of it. And I hate to kind of semi agree with the whole fake news crowd, but I mean this is part of the problem, right? Where a lot of these news outlets want to kind of put out stuff that is seemingly juicy, to get the clicks, and that's kind of the world that we're in right now because of the changes in the news climate, right? Just because newspapers are dead and nobody watches the network news and all that stuff, right? So, it is what it is. But you're right. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, the ratings while he was in office were crazy, and that's why they play up this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's when these. I mean, obviously, newspapers always did the. I mean, obviously, like New York Post for one, right? Always had the nutty headlines to draw attention to themselves, right? But really, all the outlets are really doing that to some degree.
So
I mean, the dumbest one, and I want to talk about it just briefly a little bit, but the dumbest one I saw was when they showed US's win over Team Canada, like reminiscent of the 1980, Miracle on Ice. Is like, yeah, it's nothing like that.
Yeah.
Team USA beating this Canadian team. Yeah, it's nothing like that.
No, done. But yeah, so wake me when he's actually in the jumpsuit. But speaking of crime, let's get to the homeland.
Oh,
it
God.
just seems like it seems like if somebody needs to step in, maybe we need to go over there and just help those people get on the right track.
I mean, seriously, like, I mean, so this awful vandalism in Japanese shrine. Some guy went to multiple shrines and spray painted random stuff on their signs. I think for some reason he wrote Amazon ! I don't know what that means. And like, I mean, I don't know what kind of I mean, this kind of thing is unheard of. Like, who actually does these things to hallowed religious grounds? Well, except maybe black churches in this country.
Yeah, right.
And maybe synagogues and never mind. Okay, but still, I mean, so this is the stuff that's happening. But because this being Japan, they caught the guy, and the guy has admitted to doing this stuff, and it's like, yeah.
Did he say why?
That has not been disclosed as of the time the news was out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's just walking around and just with a Sharpie, like just writing Amazon on the top of these things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it just seemed like, but like I said, it's just a health.
It's really scary. I mean, I really, if I was a parent and I had young kids and I was living in Japan and I knew that there were people going around with, permanent markers, writing things all over the place. I mean, my God, I don't know if I could, I don't know if I could even take my kid out to the local parks, if that kind of shit was happening.
Well, I'm just glad that your dad
super
got
scary
out
stuff
of there in time.
Yeah,
I'm just
absolutely.
glad that your dad got you out of there in time. And speaking of crime, I've actually started to try to, where I can. Now, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say that I'm reading books. I don't read very well, but I have been trying to patronage local small bookstores and buy banned books whenever I can.
There you go.
There's a big push because honestly, it's like we're back to burning the Beatle albums because they said they're bigger than Jesus. But the true snowflakes, as we come to find out, are the people who are pushing to not know our own history because it may the best meme I saw, a while ago, one of the first, black kids in the South to I don't know if it was the elementary school, the girl who went to elementary school or the girl who went to like Alabama State, like won the right to go to school, which is just insane to think about.
Right.
And all the awful white, parents holding signs and screaming at this child. It's like, the parents of these people are passing laws so that the grandchildren of these people don't know
that
their parents did this. So the parent, I mean, it's like banning U.S. history, other than everything we did was right and nothing to see. And now, like, they were losing their shit because out of what, 100 Dr. Seuss books, the family of Dr. Seuss decided to pull 3 of them to stop publishing 3. And it was censorship. It was fascism. Now, any book, I mean, in some of the books that they're banning, it's just, Toni Morrison books. You know what I mean? It's like, there can't even be books, not even saying, hey, white people are bad for slavery. It's like, here's a story about what this one person went through, and their autobiographies of people are being pulled and banned left and right. And if you already don't love LeVar Burton, like he's really championing this read ban book movement.
Okay, that's cool.
No, it's on Twitter and stuff like that. It's a hashtag and it's this whole thing. It's like, why are they keeping you from reading these books? And it's funny, I was talking about, we actually have talks with the boys about this all the time. I'm like, you want to read a book that is nothing but pure violence and incest and murder? Pick up a Bible. Go pick up a Bible if you want to, read about, like, the horrors of humanity. But yeah, it's just crazy that in 2022 we are, actively dealing with, like, having to, a couple states, and I think it was Texas, set up a hotline.
I think Virginia has one.
Yeah, that if you hear of a teacher teaching history, that you're
well, but you know what happens, right? Then, like, so the typical stuff that happens where they get trolled with a gazillion, stupid calls, right? Which is what they deserve.
Right, 100%. It's just but enough of that. So I highly suggest, if you're a reader, get one of these banned books. Also, if you can, any chance to walk into a mom and pop bookstore and just buy anything, please do. But definitely find the list of, like, banned books out there. And that's something that management has done with the son. The oldest one, he has, pick any of these books to read over the vacation. You know what I mean? It's like, you got a lot of time to play games, but read one of these. I seriously, and he's reading The Diary of Anne Frank now. So I don't know if that's on the list, but it's if it's not on the list now, it will be next week. But
Diary of Anne Frank was compulsory reading in Japan.
Yeah, it was growing up. I heard that the rest of my kids in my class were reading that. But in my defense, it was pre 10th grade when I learned to read. So, I mean, I think I semi get a pass out of it, but I did see the movie. Let's get into sports. Biff, please tell me a better, and I don't care what sport, you can go the most obscure sport you can think of.
Yeah.
Please tell me the better rivalry in sports the last 20 years, the last 30 years than Team USA, Team Canada, women's hockey. Please.
Yeah. Sport. Literally, it's certainly, I don't know enough about other sports, but I do not know of a better rivalry period between, over USA versus Canada. I was very unhappy with this year's outcome, not because the USA lost, but the manner in which that team was coached and their roster was handled. So that's its own thing. I'm not going to get too far into it, as much as to say it is the classic freaking old hockey dude move to essentially limit your lineup to just the veterans that he trusts. And it's like, yeah, dude. And that's one of the things that's really a stark difference between the way Team USA handled their rosters and the way Team Canada did, where Team Canada played their breakout stars and they became breakout stars.
Right. But even with
US had these promising young talent, people like Jinsey Dunn, who got no ice time in the finals. It's like, what the hell are you doing? So they're getting shredded right now,
as they should. But even with the poor coaching, it's still a 1-goal game in the finals.
It's still a 1-goal game.
These two teams, and it's almost sad that, like, all the other teams that they're competing to be the Globetrotters, and every other women's hockey team around the world is competing to be the Washington Generals. That 30 years into the prominence of women's hockey, because women's hockey has been pretty big since, like, the
Well,
96 Olympics and
it's
the
98,
92,
98,
the
98.
98 one.
Yeah, 98 was the first one where they had him as exhibition sports in prior ones. I think they had it in 92 and 96 as exhibition sports, and 98 was the one where they became a full medal sport. And so the other thing I'll say is that freaking Marie-Philippe Poulin, it's like, I mean, say what you will about all these other people who are supposed to be, you know, clutch and whatever. And I'm not a huge believer in the whole clutch gene, but she's ridiculous. She has 4 goals. She has scored goals in 4 gold medal games, and she has 3 golden goals. That's insanity. That is utter insanity.
Yeah, I think that you can count the number of people who have 2 cup winning goals on one hand.
Right.
You know, what's his face for the Kings has 2. Oh, why am I blanking? And it's the same goal, like, you know, the same cross ice, almost tap in goal on a 2-on-1. You know, Bobby Orr has them, but like literally the greats of the great. Because how often are you in those situations?
Right.
Have that, but again, it's like, it's not just the Olympics. You know,
Martinez did Marty have the first one?
I think so.
Marty has the second cup one. So yeah, so he must be one of them. That must be him.
Or maybe he has one for another team. Did he win with?
No. He's a lifetime Kings guy until he became he's Kings and then Vegas. So I think he does, and then but even in the non-Olympic years, it doesn't get any coverage unless you follow Biff on Twitter. The World Cup of hockey, it's always those 2. It's like, I think there's been, honestly, since 98, you know, almost 25 years, there's only been 2 or 3 times that it wasn't Team USA versus Canada. That it's been. It was only in the Olympics. It was only once, right? So yeah.
And same in the World Cup when you look.
Yeah.
And it's like, and their record. I mean, if they've played each other 1,000 times, it's probably 490 to 501 in every game. And it doesn't matter the rosters and where the games are played, like the gold medal game. You know, most of their games are 1-goal games, maybe 2-goal games if it's an empty net goal.
You know, like, you know, and you know, the previous 2 went into overtime, and you know, the one before that, you know, the last one went into a shootout. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I hate, but you know, I didn't watch, you know, any Olympics really, other than I would have I checked out like those games and so I don't know if you watched anything else.
I watched, you know, things here and there, and I probably will try to watch a few things here and there because I have the Peacock thing, so I could, you know, get them back. But yeah, I did, you know, the whole time thing just makes it so hard, right? Because they're doing stuff in just odd time. Obviously, it's on because they're kind of on the opposite side of the world. Their timing is opposite side of our timing. So yeah, it makes it kind of tough.
So that's pretty it on sports. You watching anything in the glorious golden age of sci-fi and superhero shows? Are you watching?
I do have to catch up and try to get some of the because I did watch you know, The Mandalorian, so I do definitely want to watch the Boba Fett series. And what is it? The Eternals? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I mean,
my son seems to like it a lot. So
he does. I mean, it's one of those things. It's a fine movie, but there's like, you know, you just went through 20 years or 12 years of like Avengers stuff. Here's 10 people it's because this team is 10 people.
Right. Okay.
There's 10 people, you know, and these, you know, these celestials, which are these beings that are bigger than planets, you know, spread out around the galaxy that you heard mentioned.
Okay.
And the Marvel universe many times. You know, they were very tiny part of Guardians of the Galaxy, just mentioned. But now all of a sudden, here's 10 new names that you got to remember, and but it's fine. Same thing. It's like Boba Fett was good. Once you watch it, then we can talk about it. I don't want to spoil it. But I will say, you will thank me if you invest the time to watch Peacemaker. Now, I'm not saying it's the best show. I'm not saying it's my favorite DC show or my favorite show on TV. I am saying each and every episode they have a lengthy discussion at one point in the show about some 80s metal band.
I did see some of the
Like
stuff that you did send me. So yeah,
like Cinderella was
yeah.
a big plot point in one of the episodes.
Did you ever play hockey with the drummer from Cinderella?
I might have, but you
Yeah.
know, but also, oh man, they're a Norwegian band, I think, that started the glam movement. Hanoi
Rocks. You don't know Hanoi Rocks?
Hanoi Rocks, dude. So there was an episode where you know there's a guy on Peacemaker's team who's kind of the guy in the chair type guy who Peacemaker doesn't have much use for, you know, and he always shitting on him. Finds out he doesn't know Hanoi Rocks. He saw Hanoi Rocks when he did a year abroad in Norway when he was a kid and has a Hanoi Rock tattoo. And they go from being on the same team, always bickering at each other, to best closest friends.
You know, they're sadly known for one famous thing, completely unrelated to the great band that they are, which is that their drummer Razzle was a victim of the Vince Neil DUI.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah,
did not know that, but they're playing their music, and so Peacemaker, played by John Cena, lives for this music, and he goes on like, wait a minute, you don't know this band, and then we'll just start, you know, going on.
That's funny that I had the same reaction when you're trying to fumbling through Hanoi Rocks.
And so I tell that, so there's 8 episodes. I watched 7 by myself over the course of like a few, because HBO Max drops.
Yeah. Okay.
And it wasn't something, you know, management likes John Cena, but there's so much great stuff. And she works so much. There's only so much time. Right. So I watched the finale, and she's like, yeah, I might check out the show. Well, then she comes home full of piss and vinegar, all excited because I didn't know this. Yeah. I guess in the last episode, she thought it was an appearance, and it was just a song by the one, by the only, Steel Panther.
There you go.
And she's like, and then there was a little bit of, I don't want to give anything away because it's still too early, but there was a clip that was at the end of the, you know, towards the end of the last episode that I knew she was going to lose her shit. So the other night, it was one of those things, you know, one boy stayed at grandma's house for the first time in a while. The other one, it's a start of vacation. It's like, okay, you got your therapy. We got a lot of swimming to do. Here's some things that we have to get done the next week. But, you know, it's Friday night, do whatever.
Yeah.
Management and I spent 6 glorious hours watching Peacemaker from start to finish.
There you go.
And she will tell you, because she and you like that music. And like I said, the whole thing, like the money that they spent, you know, getting back to the show, Derek, by the way, same thing. It's like, dude, like every episode they're playing Oasis music. It's like the budget, it doesn't look like a low budget show, but it looks like a basic typical BBC show. Not a lot of props, you know what I mean? You know, few locations, you know, not a lot to produce, but whatever budget the show Derek had, it all went to music. It all, and same thing with Peacemaker. Like every episode, it's not like, oh, here's a song, you know, at one point, and I'm not spoiling anything, but you know, the bad guys, or are they the good guys? But there's a farm in the middle of nowhere, the Coverdale Ranch. Right? Thank you. And as soon as management heard that, she had the same reaction you did. She's like, oh, that's a coincidence. It's like every time they could squeeze in an 80 Metals reference or song, you know, and it
is funny. So just a brief sidetrack. It is kind of funny for me that David Coverdale is such a symbol of the 80s glam, just because, you know, my history with him goes back way further than that, where they were really, Whitesnake used to be a really basic 70s style hard rock blues band.
You know, and it's the same thing with Hanoi Rocks. It's like they're talking about they were the precursor to glam metal. It's like they're playing some of their songs. I'm like, this is not glam metal. This is straight. Now I realize
they're closer to New York Dolls, really. Right.
Well, having heard this, having heard a couple of songs they play, I'm like, I'm sorry, this is not glam rock. This is straight up the Clash. You know, the Clash almost sounds like a Hanoi Rock cover band. some of the songs that I heard them playing. Anyways, I highly recommend Peacemaker to you.
Yeah, we don't have HBO Max, so hopefully they'll come up in some other streaming eventually. So
right. They'll put it somewhere. No, but you will absolutely love it. And the other thing that I watched this week, which was on our movie watch list from last summer that I finally got to watch,
right,
and it lives up to the hype, is Questlove's Summer of Soul.
Right.
Dude.
Yeah, because I think it was originally on some platform that we didn't have. And so I was waiting for it's now on something else, right? Is it on Netflix now, or is it on something else now, or Amazon or something?
I'll have to look to see what I saw.
But
But dude, I'm telling you, and it turns out it wasn't a concert; it was 6 weekends.
Yeah. It's actually was a series of shows. Yeah, there's a lot of great things that I've read about it though. So now that I've read about a lot of it, I definitely want to see so much more, so much of it.
Oh, yeah. And and you see Stevie Wonder like wailing on the drums, and I'm like, again, it's like I know the story of like little Stevie Wonder, like he signed at 11 by Motown, but I did not. So the guy takes his arm, leads him over to a drum kit, and there he is, this jazz, like during triplets, like drummer just. And just the how the concert came together was a great story. The guy who put it together, the Republican mayor of New York at the time, who was really instrumental. And it was one of those things where you hear all these great stories from these people now in their 70s, some pushing 80s, who they were supposed to go to church and they snuck away and they went down there. And it was really a 6 week of who's who at the height of their careers. And
well, some of them are like, so I think the ones that's not at the height of their careers, I think one of the ones I'm really fascinated to see that I read about is the Fifth Dimension. Because that's a band, that's an act that at the time I didn't, I was a stupid kid, I have no idea, but I guess they were just not, soul enough to be. Apparently, they did not have a great following from the black audiences. They were primarily a white audience band or something like that. And I had no idea. I'm reading about this and this whole thing about these conversations where they basically had to earn a certain level of credibility,
There was another band, and it's killing me. It's killing me. Who maybe I'm thinking the Fifth Dimension. Also Sly and the Family Stone was like the first really successful like interracial band. And
right.
People show up to see them and they're like, wait a minute. The drummer and the bass player, the rhythm section's white. Well, which is funny because, same thing, like, Jimi Hendrix, considered by most the greatest guitar player of all time, had a white rhythm section, what I mean? And, but there was a couple horn players. I mean, Sly and the Family Stone is one of those like 12-piece bands, with the Congo player.
Wait, Jimi Hendrix, is that the guy that was the, guitars for Little Richard? Jimi Hendrix, is that the same guy?
Same guy, believe it or not. But when you see this, and it's like, and then some people are like, what's that white boy doing up there? Wait a minute, white boys can't drum soul. And they're like, wait, it was one of these cultural things on both sides. I mean, it was groundbreaking, and the fact that it was lost to obscurity for 50 years, like somebody like Questlove, who produced this, even he was like, I can't believe I didn't know about this. Like, it wasn't one concert, it was 6. And I guess the people who produced it like tried to sell it for years. Nobody was interested. Like the Woodstock went through the roof. The Woodstock documentary went through the roof, but nobody wanted to see this for 50 years. And I mean, dude, it was 2 hours of just turning it up, and it was so great. And just sitting on Wikipedia, looking things up, and dude, it was everything I could have possibly hoped for in a rock documentary. Summer of Soul, it was great.
Yep.
But that's it for me. You got any suggestions to watch stuff?
The only one that I've been watching is the second season of Demon Slayer. So I've been trying to watch it with James, and we're a little bit behind, but fine. If you're into that kind of stuff, it's a fabulous series. But
I think the little guy, I think the oldest one is watching that.
Really? Yeah, it's it's pretty violent. It's potentially pretty violent, right? But still pretty good.
All of that is. And you got a parenting tip?
I would say, my younger one is in his 20s, and I think I would say that if your younger kid wants to have the best times of their lives, because it is great to be in the 20s, you know, you want to help that along, and especially when they're willing to do it at your house.
Okay.
Because, you know, there's nothing better than, you know, having your kid have a great time and knowing that he's not driving anywhere, you know, and, you know, having the worry-free stuff. So that is the thing, you know, if they want to have shit going on at your house, I'm 100% for it.
No, I've seen parents do that for many years. It's like, even growing up, it's like, you know, the parents who are like, buy booze for the kids. Yeah, it's a kind of a roll of the dice, because it's other people, you know. I don't know if we're going that far, but yeah, is if you know where they are at midnight on a Friday night, you know, then good for you. You know, my thing is, you know, we're still at the age where given left to their own, you know, left to their own, you know, my guys, from the moment they get home to the moment they pass out from sheer exhaustion, would be on screens.
Yep.
So it's our job to keep filling their time with things that they don't love. You know, they don't mind the theater thing they're in, but they don't love it. They don't hate going to their guitar lessons, but they want to go of choose. So, you know, my parenting advice, you know, and it's more for them. It's like, dum-dums, you're going to be out of the house doing stuff.
Yeah.
You can fill it up with stuff you like to do.
Yeah.
It can be a sport. It can be an art. It can be, you want to do Dungeons and Dragons? Sure, I'm going to give you a wedgie and tease you, but I will drive you there and buy the supplies you need. I will get, if it's a sports thing or a music thing and you need coaching, you need a sensei, you need a teacher, you know, we will pay for it. We will get you the gear. We will drive you there.
If either one of your sons get into Dungeons and Dragons, I would help fund it just so that I could watch your kids talk with a British accent.
But I
give incantations.
My whole
that is worth the price of admission.
You know, when you see them sooner than later, you can, but that's my whole thing. It's like, you guys have to have something to fill up this time. And so you can choose your own things, or I will choose it for you.
There you go.
So, you know, to wrap it up, you know, just to, you know, summarize the show, Joe is a bad person who makes me watch shows that make me cry uncontrollably. And some of the tears were really, really happy tears. Most of the tears were happy tears. Yep. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, but it's just, dude, I could dig a ditch for 8 hours and be less physically exhausted than a 22-minute episode of Derek. I highly recommend people, and let's post the link to All Stars 1980.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Dude, to see him, like, you know, to be announced like right after the goalie, he's the second guy announced for his team. And it's like, you know, Phil Housley, it's funny because, you know, he played against Hall of Famer Phil Housley for the high school.
Actually, you know, if we posted it with, like, I wonder if Phil Housley's on Twitter, or like if we probably do it, you know, properly, he'll probably get a lot of, you know, views.
We should definitely do that. You know, I have the framed photo of All-Star, like tying up, you know, Hall of Famer, and it's like another Hall of Famer NHLer in my office. And it's like, so, but to see him at, you know, 16, 17 years old. And like I said, the next time he shaves going to be the first, just this faced, you know, little Opie Cunningham haircut and stuff like that. Totally adorable. So he's a good person. But I would.
We were young ones. God damn it.
I could not recommend more, you know, the Peacemaker specifically to you because of the music, and Derek, watch Derek. I mean, it is just fantastic. You got anything like that going out?
Nah, I think, you know, I bet it's just been so wacky trying to figure out my time between, like, it's weird. I'm trying to fit in the Olympic stuff in between my regular hockey watching, and most of the stuff starts at like 8 p.m. Local time for me, and then the stuff that happens in the middle of the night, I'm awake for a lot of them, but I'm actually working, you know, for the so-called local time prime time evening events. So it's like, yeah, it's just been kind of hard. Oh, what the hell is that? Did you? Okay. Anyway, are we just munching along? All right. Well, let's just wrap it up. So, I just kind of talked about the Olympics, and not surprisingly, we had a lot of scandals in regards to illegal use of, banned substances and stuff like that. And I think it's easy to just kind of dismiss that as your classic, cheaters never win kind of whatever. But I think it's really a lot deeper than that. And so as you think about this, don't forget.
Consider this warning, blood from friend to friend. Closer that you get, the less sweet I'll sing. I'll never feel secure in my faint arrogance. Rear its ugly head, beg I take your everything I gave was better left behind. If it's good, I'll run away. If it's bad, I'll have to quit. Far, far better off if you just rinse